Good evening, everybody. What's up? It's the one and only African superstar back at it again. Yeah, 2 days in a row. Hello. Yes. Are you guys happy to see me? I know you are, because otherwise you wouldn't be on the channel. Yes. Let me go over current events for you guys. First and foremost, upcoming tour with Mr. Taye Uhuru. Yes, yes, yes. We want to receive those of you that are interested in touring in Ghana, visiting Ghana, to come here and obviously take a tour with us, so we can actually be the ones to show you around Ghana and teach you some of the history. You can see what all the hype is about. If you're interested in that, you can go to www.tayeahuru.com. It's also in the box, the description box, the website. And last but not least, I have recently released an EP with great music. So please do support and get your copy of Iconic. Here is the website, Bandcamp, to go and collect my brand new album. And matter of fact, you can get my entire catalog there. So if there are other songs that you love that you have, not heard or whatever, head over to Bandcamp and check out my whole musical catalog. Today, I want to talk about this topic because this is something that has been going on with me ever since I left the U.S. It's not nearly as bad. It was not nearly as bad as the UK as it is in Ghana. And I don't know what, why the perception is, but I just want to bring an unpopular opinion, which is, it is completely normal for diasporans that live in Africa to travel. Okay? It's a completely normal phenomenon. Now, if we want to talk about me more specifically, anybody who knows me, anybody who's been following me on this channel, they know that I am and have been a world traveler for the better part of my life. So traveling to different countries and so on and so forth is not foreign to me. It's not something unusual to me. But it's very confusing for people to correlate the fact that diasporans have family abroad. They might have business, they might have assets, they might have bank accounts. I've seen, I'd say, 3 instances of this in the last week or so. Okay, so I'll share with you what happened. We had a comment on my page just last night that someone said, "Oh, I thought you left Ghana." Okay, now that one, I've been getting it ever since I moved to Ghana. I mean, even if I post a real-time picture here in Ghana, people think it's a picture from the past. People are constantly asking me if I'm still here, or when I tell them I live in Ghana, and then they say, "Well, where are you?" And I'm like, "I'm in Accra," and they're just like so shocked and surprised. So, we had the comment on my page that was like, "Oh, I thought you left Ghana." And I'm just like, when did I leave Ghana? Apart from traveling, it's completely normal. Then one of my really close girlfriends, she's also on a travel to the U.S. Her daughter just recently gave birth to her first male grandson. So she left Ghana to go and be there for her daughter and support her daughter. I saw on her page, she posted when she arrived, and someone was in the comments and left this completely insane comment. And it said, "Oh, what's wrong? Did you get scammed in Ghana? What happened to you?" And the last but not least is another YouTube family called, I think their YouTube channel is like Life, something with the Life, LYFE. It's a Jamaican British family that moved to Ghana. And basically, recently the father and the family traveled to the UK to take care of some business. He had to go to his bank because, since he was abroad, it got complicated and they shut down his account for some reason. So he had to go to a physical branch and take care of that. And again, the comments were like, "What happened to you in Ghana? What's going on?" And so I just want to preface this and say, hello, it's normal. When you're looking at diasporans that have migrated to Africa, okay, 9.5 out of 10 did not grow up here, do not have much family here. did not receive their education here, don't have the majority of their assets here. We are intrinsically connected to the West because we were born there, raised there, our family there, our education, whatever. All right. It's unrealistic to think that when we come here, we will sever our relationship with the West. We will cut all ties. We will no longer travel there. And I don't know why people have this woe is me attitude, you know, towards those of us residing here on the continent. If we decide to go visit our family in the West, it's like, oh my God, what happened? Hello? You know, in this particular year, I spent quite an extensive amount in the U.S. The longest period I've spent in the U.S. since 2017 because my father passed away. And I needed to spend time with my family. I needed to go and take care of things. We needed to do, you know, many, many things. Okay. And it's like, hello. Trivia question. How many of you guys have family in other states, other countries? Let me see a number one. Okay. How many of you guys have, if you're here in Ghana, you have family in different regions, you have family in different cities, whatever. Or you have families that have now migrated to the West. Hello. Okay. We're kind of living in a global community nowadays. Okay. It's not unusual to have family that is dispersed around the world or around the country or throughout the state or whatever. Okay. If you're living in America, if you're living in the UK, it's not unusual for maybe you to go travel and visit your relatives. Those of us living here in Africa, it's the same damn thing. You know, and again, I think the scarcity mindset that many diasporians have give them this whole perception that when you move to the continent, you're going to live, you know, you go into like a black hole. You know, you move to Africa and that's it. You know, you're never going to leave. You're never going to travel. You know, it's over. All ties are severed. I mean, like I mentioned on my live stream yesterday, someone asked me if I'm going to renounce my citizenship. And again, I'm like, yo, I'm a world traveler. Why would I do something like that? Because coming from Ghana, you need visas to go to many, many countries. Okay. Ideally, even the countries I go to, UK, European countries, you know, I went to France, you know what I'm saying, America. It's like, if I get rid of my British passport, whatever, then now I'm going to have to go through the hardship of getting visas every time I need to move. This is an unpopular opinion because, again, I know that, you know, the mass migration of diasporians heading to the continent, it's a very modern thing. You know, this is a phenomenon that's happened, I'd say, largely within the last 5 years. You know, certainly a surplus of foreigners have come to Ghana following the year of return, following, you know, the COVID lockdowns. So we're talking about 4 or 5 years. Now, obviously, there's members of the diaspora that have been doing this for a long time. You know, there are people that migrated back in the 80s, back in the 90s, but not in this higher frequency. Okay, so all of this is new. And we're the pioneers of how we navigate it. And in my perception, my base is here in Ghana. Okay, so how I actually quantify that is in a calendar year, I spend the majority of my time here in Ghana. Okay, since I moved to Ghana, I have spent the majority of my time in Ghana. More than 6 months a year, I'm living here. Okay, now, if you guys know me, second trivia question. Shout out to Brownco Blue. He's the only one who has family outside of his immediate demographic. I guess the rest of you guys are like old school. You guys all live together in the same house, same village, you know, whatever. Second trivia question. Do you guys know my home state? Where was I born and raised? Where did I go to university? Where did I recently travel to? Who knows this trivia question? Who knows this trivia question? Shout outs to Dubfly, KM, Afro-Jamaican, I see you there. Big shout outs to Black Messiah. He's the first in the room. Does anybody know where the African superstar grew up? The state that I grew up in, the state I recently traveled to. I'll give you a hint. 4 letters. All right. 4 letters. Well, my mother's from Bermuda. That's okay. Yes, big shout outs, Black Messiah. Correct. My home state is Ohio. Hello, guys. Come on, guys. Y'all should have been known that. Y'all should have been known that. But yes, to African goddess, my mother is Bermudian. And so I recently did travel to Bermuda. But as for me, I'm born and raised in Ohio. Okay. So the reality is I don't have any family here in Ghana, you know, apart from my, well, I would say I have a cousin who lives here in Ghana. He's a Bermudian that has moved here as well. But apart from that, I do not have any, blood relatives here. Okay. And when I also lived in the UK, I had a couple cousins that were in there, in the UK at the time, but no immediate family. I actually used to go to the US twice a year when I lived in the UK, because my mother, my father until he passed, and my baby sister all live in Ohio. That's my hometown. You know what I mean? So look, okay, this is a normal phenomenon. And I would actually say, if you're actually planning to migrate to the continent, I really wouldn't want to particularly be in a situation where you can't travel if you need to, if you have emergencies. A lot of us that are living here, we have had a myriad of crazy problems. We've had issues with our cell phones. We've had issues with our banks. Maybe we've gotten hacked. Maybe, fraudulent charges on our account. I personally believe when you're living abroad, it's good practice to at least touch base once a year or so, if it's feasible. Which I have been maintaining since I've been here. I've been going to the UK, virtually every year. And then I went to the US a few times since I've been here. It's a really good question. African goddess, this is a very good question. So if you have no family in Ghana, how do you build up a support system? Well, in my case, when it comes to Ghana, I actually started networking and fraternizing with the Ghanaian community back in Ohio. You know what I mean? And for any people that are a part of the African diaspora, you're in with Kenyans, you're in with Ethiopians, you're in with Nigerians or Ghanaians, that's a global network. And usually many African people have family that's dispersed around the world. And so therefore it becomes a network that you can tap into. So, my relationship with Ghana essentially started back in Columbus, Ohio, when I was, a young adult. I started really, really heavily associating with the Ghanaian community in my university days through my best friend, one of my best friends, Kofi. He's the person who introduced me to the community and helped me make many networks. When I took my first trip to the UK in 2014, he provided me some of his contacts in the UK, which are classmates, which are, some of them I'm still in contact with to this day, and many of my Ghanaian friends have, set that up. So basically, when I came to Ghana, I was not unfamiliar with the life, the culture, the music, the food, the language, I was abreast. And also I started coming to Ghana in 2016. I started coming in 2016 and I moved here in 2020. So between those 4 years, I was frequenting Ghana. I was creating my own networks here. I was building, relationships and friendships and business people like my team. I met Joseph Mayer, who is my celebrity photographer, in 2019. I found him on Facebook because he's a great photographer. And so I reached out to him and said, hey, I'm coming to Ghana for my birthday in 2019, and I want to do this photo shoot. Anybody who knows Africans know they do photo shoots. Okay, they do that. Okay, it's a big deal. birthdays, special occasions, you know, milestone age parties and all of that stuff. So I really, really wanted to do a nice photo shoot. I contacted Joseph Mayer, you know, we chatted back and forth for a few months probably. And when I came to Accra, I met with him and I had my photo shoot. At that photo shoot, he provided me a makeup artist as a part of my photo shoot, you know, and my makeup artist that he provided in 2019 is my makeup artist today. And, you know, tapping into the community, it's a each one teach one kind of thing, because, you know, then this person connects you to this person connects you to that person, and they can kind of vouch for you, and they can also, you know, kind of require that, hey, you know, these are my people, you know, don't do them wrong, give them a good price, you know, don't mess around, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, that's basically how I built my initial community. The other community that I've also built is via social media. So I have several, you know, people that have come to me through this resource of social media that have also moved here, also settled here. Like, you know, Sister Ya and I, we met online, but obviously as soon as we got to Ghana, we linked up and we're very good friends. And, you know, shout out to Lady Visionary. I spoke to Lady Visionary today, one of my girlfriends from the UK who resides in Rwanda. You know what I mean? I have a lot of friends that I've connected, but I would say that those people, a lot of the people that I developed those relationships with, I knew them physically, or I have like a physical relationship with them. So I've just kind of built it up that way. And I think if you move to a new country, it's also important that you're open-minded. And a lot of people are failing in that because, you know, you have plenty of Black Americans coming here, or Black British, and they're just like, oh my gosh, it's not like America. In America, it's like this, and this is how it's done. And it's like, look, you're not in America. You're not in England anymore. You know, Ghanaians, this is their country. You know, this is their home. This is their culture. And we should be grateful that we're welcome here, you know, and that people are interested in showing us the way, you know. So, yeah, that's how I do it. But I would also say, African Goddess, it's very obvious that I'm a leader, you know. So leading the pack is not something that's uncomfortable for me. I think sometimes, you know, you need to be on your own to actually get things accomplished. And sometimes people can be a bit of a delay to you, you know, and so therefore I'm okay with navigating this chapter on my own for the most part. You know, I know some people, they always remark that, I can't believe you live in Ghana without your family. I can't believe you, you know, I've been on my own since I was 18 years old. You know, when I moved away for university, I have not fully ever moved in with my family, except the only exception is when I got a divorce and I planned to leave the country. So I liquidated my apartment and I moved in with my parents for, I think, maybe a year or so before I moved to England. So, you know, from 18 all the way up to, like, I was in my mid 30s when I migrated to the UK. I've been independent, you know, basically living on my own. Then I had a period with my husband, my ex-husband, and things like that. So, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Now, Emmanuel, yeah, for now, for now, it's just me, okay? Romance is complicated, you know what I mean? It is what it is. So yeah, it is what it is. But anyway, back to the topic. All right. It's not rocket science that diasporans will put, you know, occasionally go back to the West. You know, and again, it actually, I'm telling you, it's an advantage. You know, it's an advantage for us to be able to go in and out. And maybe for some people, you know, you spend half the year in the West, maybe you raise your capital or you check on your life there, you spend time with your family there, and then you come and spend the winters in Ghana or Rwanda or Gambia. You know, if you can get it popping, get yourself situated, you can roll like that, you know. And I know, again, our people, the conditioning of our people, because when we think about rich people, for instance, okay, rich people jet set all the time. Rich people have different residents in different countries. They have options. Okay, we don't think that it's strange that, you know, Bezos might be in California for, you know, 2-3 months. Then he has a penthouse in New York. Then he goes to Florida in the winter time. Then he goes to the south of France in spring. I remember I watched this documentary of Ivanka Trump, you know, the ex-wife of Donald Trump. And she had like a quarterly schedule. You know what I'm saying? She would be in New York for like 3 months. She would go to, I think she had a place in like Monaco, which is the south of France. She would go to Florida. And there was one other location that she would go to. And literally she would just rotate, you know, because she had properties in all those places. And, you know, she didn't want to spend certain times of the year, you know, basically winter in the cold environment. Celebrities and prominent people, they're very well known for bouncing on that cold winter and going to a tropical destination. I mean, we just have to broaden our horizons. You know what I mean? But this whole, oh my God, what happened in Ghana? Did you get scammed? Oh my goodness, did you run out of money? Oh, did you? I mean, it's like, bro, listen, hold on. If by now, okay, I ran out of money or I had some kind of crazy hardship, do y'all think I could still be here 4 years later? I mean, realistically, has the scenery changed at all? Like, have you seen me in a different, I mean, you guys obviously don't know what my apartment looks like for the most part, but I mean, I've been here on this couch every time I've been here in Ghana. You know, I'm stable here. You know, I have a life here. I've built a base here, and this is where I want to be. So when I go abroad, you know, it's temporary, it's business, it's events. When I went to Paris last year for the Ghana Music Awards in Paris, I stayed in Paris for a week. And I remember when I was preparing to travel, people were like, are you going to stay there long? I'm like, no, I'm going for an event. I'm going for an award show. Okay, I'm not staying there. I'm not even really crazy about France, and I don't speak French. So it's like when I actually travel, that language barrier is no joke in Paris. You know what I'm saying? African goddess, everybody want to know my private business. You know, I'm used to it. Everybody wants to know my private business. I mean, I'm actively dating and stuff like that. I've had a few relationships since I came to Ghana, but you know, I would say after you have a divorce, it really will provide some clarity, and it will, you know, it will really help you kind of identify partners and the longevity of partners, and making sure that that like-mindedness is there. And so for me, someone who's, you know, avant-garde, and I'm kind of doing things that are not status quo, like the fact I choose to live in Africa when I have options to live abroad, is really confusing to some people. And for some people who have never traveled, they can't necessarily relate to that. So, I mean, I've met several nice gentlemen, you know, nice gentlemen that I would say are moderately compatible, but I would say that issue is really difficult. And that issue was difficult in the Western environments as well. I mean, those of you guys living in America and England know a lot of the diaspora complains about everything. Complains about racism, complains about police brutality, complains about systematic racism, you know, complains about this, complains about that. But when you actually present them the model, okay, well, let's bounce out of here. You know what I'm saying? Let's go check out somewhere else. You know, let's try an alternative lifestyle. They're not ready to do that. And so that has been a crux for me, you know, because I'm not necessarily ready to sacrifice the ultimate freedom that I have here in Ghana to be, you know, going back to the West or having a long distance relationship with someone. You know, it's just complicated. I just don't want to deal with all that. So if the person is not compatible, I just don't move forward. And again, this is a testament to my lack of desperation. Hello, because I'm not even kidding. If you guys saw some of these guys, that in effect, you know, had to be cut off, y'all would be like, yo, Gina, come on. Because y'all know, I tell you a pro tip. I don't care what he's going to be. He going to be fine. Any dude I roll with, any guy I roll with, he going to be fine. And so therefore, I mean, y'all seen Joseph Mayer. Joseph he's fine. He's tall. He's fine. Fifi, tall, fine. Andrew, banging. You know what I'm saying? Super thick. You know, beard game on 100%. You know what I'm saying? Like, but you know, it is what it is. Well, it begs the question. You know, I can't say, but as far as living abroad and taking a man abroad and all that, that's 100% not going to happen. 100% not going to happen. I can tell you right now. And again, it's attested by the fact. Like, I'm gonna tell y'all, I've said it before. You know, my ex-boyfriend Fifi. You guys know Fifi. A lot of you guys know Mr. Fifi. We had a series here on YouTube from 2020 to 2021 when he moved to the UK. Okay, he moved to the UK independent of me. That's something he did through his family. Now, Fifi he is fine as hell. Trust me. I loved Fifi. Worshiped the ground he walked on, and vice versa. If I was going to do it for anybody, I would have done it for Fifi. And the fact I didn't do it for Fifi, that says a lot. So, hey. Big shout outs. I guess we will take your questions. You guys have questions. I see them. Yes. So pop your questions in the chat room. Big shout outs to African Superstar family. It's not weird for diasporans to travel to the West. It doesn't mean doomsday. Okay. When you see me in the US, I mean, listen, this summer I spent about 3.5 months abroad. Okay. I was not struggle life. Okay, I was busy traveling and everything else. Went to Miami, went to Philly, went to Bermuda. You know what I'm saying? I was here, there, and everywhere. I was on tour. I was on vacation. I was visiting family and friends. Okay, it's not doomsday. And yes, I'm back here in Ghana. So some people have texted me like, oh, you're back in Ghana. I thought you were going to stay. I thought you were going to stay to December. No, I live in Ghana. Have a whole apartment here and a whole life, and I want to be here. You know what I'm saying? A team, a manager, makeup artist, photographer, everything, studio. I want to be in Ghana. This is where I love to be. So yes. Okay, African Goddess says, so you talked about people who leave the West for Africa being pioneers. How do you feel people have to be comfortable with the high level of risk? Well, I think risk is an individual assessment. And I think for me, because I had a longer path. I mean, I think now in 2024, people are moving to Africa quite rapidly. Maybe they've been one time, maybe they've never been. And for a lot of them, they're very ignorant to the culture, ignorant to, you know, and I mean, quite frankly, many members of the diaspora, they have not done a lot of international travel in general. So all of these things present a significant risk. I think for me, coming to Ghana frequently as I did, it didn't necessarily present a risk. And I also had contingency plans. You know, I mean, I would say at the end of the day, if it gets so hectic for me, I am in a position to go back to the UK. You know, that's probably where I would go. I really don't want to go back to the US for any extended time. I prefer going to Europe more. You know, and sometimes I do. Sometimes I go stay for a few months with my friends and stuff like that. Or so I have also worked in the UK a couple times since I moved here to Ghana, like temporary agency jobs and that kind of thing. So, you know, worst case scenario, you know, I can do that. You have to mitigate your own risk. Some people are coming with families. Some people are coming because they're entrepreneurs. You know, they're bringing operations or creating operations here. You need to assess all of that in your migration plan. But I do think the more you acclimate yourself with the place you're going, wherever that means, And this is the application I've used for, moving to the UK and then moving to Ghana. I frequented those places. I went to the UK probably about 3-4 times before I moved. Took my first trip there 2014, migrated in 2017. Took my first trip here to Ghana in 2016, migrated in 2020. So during those times, I was acclimating myself to the place, learning about it, researching about it, and all of those things. The more you do that, the more you alleviate your risk. Another pro tip you cannot get past is assessing what's going on to other people. This is really difficult for the diaspora. I don't know why. They're seeing what's happening to people in regards to like romance scams, land scams, failed business prospects, immigration issues. They're seeing it. Okay. They're hearing about it through the grapevine. They're seeing it here on YouTube and all of that. And they're not taking heed. I have assessed what goes on with a lot of people, and to learn from those people's mistakes, so I didn't necessarily have to make them on my own. One critical error that many diasporians do, they buy land in countries they've never been, with people they don't know, never met. Huge red flag, huge risk, so on and so forth. There are a lot of ways to mitigate this in particular. What I did, for instance, when I moved to the UK. Okay, when I moved to the UK, shout out to MP. I see you, Bull. What's up? This shout out to African Superstar family. Please like the stream. If you have any questions for me, leave them in the chat. One of the things I did to deal with like the housing thing, because it's very difficult when you are coming overseas and maybe you don't know the demographics. So you go online and you see a good deal, or you see a hotel and you book it. You don't know what part of town that is. You don't know how far that is from where you want to be. The first time I came, well, not the first time I came, but when I came in 2019 for my birthday and I met Joseph Mayer, I stayed in East Legon. I stayed in a hotel that I now live like around the corner from. Okay. So when I came on that visit, I took some walks around the neighborhood and I spoke to different people, and they told me, oh yeah, East Legon is a nice part of town. That's where, the rich people live. That's where it's safe. That's where it's this, that's what it's that. So I had in my mind, okay, East Legon, I've been there. I've experienced a bit of the neighborhood. The reputation is good from, locals and so on and so forth. So when I started looking for actual place to stay, I looked for that neighborhood. Now the other thing you can do, which is what I did in the UK, is I booked an Airbnb. Okay, when I moved to the UK, I had some friends in the Northampton town, which is where I ended up settling. I booked and paid for, before I came, a place in Northampton. Okay, so I paid for an Airbnb for 4 months in Northampton when I moved there. And I said, okay, I can get a feel of the town. I didn't have a job. I was looking for a job. So obviously I was thinking, well, what if I get a job that's all the way across town, and I've committed to this place, or leased this place, or bought a place, no, I'm going to get a temporary residence and go from there. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of ways in our modern world to make migration a bit easier. But I think a pro tip, again, is seeing what other people have done that's positive, that's helping them win, and seeing what other people have done that's caused them to lose or fail or be scammed. A lot of people are messing up on this housing. They're messing up on this housing. Okay. And when obviously you're coming from the West and you're coming to Africa, you're thinking, oh my God, this place is cheap. It's only, $1,000 a month. Well, that's a luxury property here in Ghana. That's luxury in Zanzibar. That's luxury in Kenya. If you had any local relationships, they would say, oh my goodness, you could find a nice place in a decent side of town for half that cost. You know what I mean? And just because we have the money in the currency exchange, we should still be mindful of how that translates in the local currency. You don't want to look at, oh, this is only $20. Oh, this is only $50. You want to look at how that translates into the local currency and what that means, you know? So, because I see on Facebook all the time, some of these real estate agents and all this stuff, they're like advertising apartments and things like that in dollar prices. And obviously Americans are going to look at that and be like, oh, wow, this is super cheap. Well, it might be over market actually. But if you don't have connections with the locals, you would never know. And therefore you could be getting got. So, you know, those are just some pro tips and strategies. You know, I think you have to do your own research. There's no template for migrating. There are some basics, you know, that you need to sort out. Your immigration, you know, make sure you have your visa, make sure you have your documents. I would say if, you know, you're planning to come here and all of that, maybe you want to renew your stuff before you come so you don't get here and then, oh, your passport expires in a year or two, then you got to try to figure it out. You know, do that stuff when you're in England, do that stuff when you're in Germany, so that when you come here, you don't necessarily have to hit the ground running. You need to give yourself some time to acclimate to your new environment. Big shout outs. What's up? What's up? What's up? Buffalo Soldier says, I think some people tell themselves that they want to be a part of the community, to live amongst the people, but although a great gesture, maybe not a safe area. The thing is that, and obviously I've talked about this on a previous video. The thing is that I would say, again, you need to be mindful of the perception of the local people when you're coming. So for instance, when you're going out to a village area, all right, for instance, you're the foreigner there, you're not that familiar with the country, you don't speak the language, you know, that area, that village area is probably very communal. Everybody knows everybody there, and they already have a tight-knit situation. You're the outsider coming in. And if you can't actually, you know, matriculate, you know, I would say, if this is a video game, okay, I would say that the village areas are for advanced players, okay? Because by the time you go to the village, you know, you should know some of the language. You should know the cultural norms. You should be able to be abreast of what's happening in the community, what's happening in the country. You know, the mistake a lot of diasporans are making is they are isolating themselves in these communities, you know, because, and then the local people are looking like, oh my God, look at this rich person. You know, this person came in here and bought land, built a house, and here I am, you know, the local hustling and trying to make ends meet. You don't want to put yourself in those environments sometimes, because sometimes you might become a target. You know, they're going to be like, oh yeah, they're rich. You know, they got it to lose. And there's no solidarity with you in the community. They don't know you. You're a foreigner. So why would they have your back? You know, so you got to, you know, play it by ear and try to figure out these dynamics. You know what I mean? Because obviously, I know some people are, this might be controversial, but I believe in classism. You know, birds of a feather flock together. You don't see, you know, CEOs and billionaires and, you know, the dean of the college. You don't see them going to live in particularly low income or urban neighborhoods. You know what I mean? They live in gated communities. They live in estates with $1 million houses and stuff with people that are of their echelon. And you know, there are prominent and affluent communities here with Africans of your echelon that would be more about your bracket, you know. So, for instance, I live here in East Legon. There are Ghanaians all in my complex where I live. They're professionals, you know, they're entrepreneurs. Some of them got more money than me, doing more than me, you know, and that's cool because I don't stand out in this setting. You know, I don't stand out in the setting because they're balling. Now, I can guarantee if I went to maybe some of the slum areas or definitely if I went to the rural villages, I'm going to stand out like white on rice. You know, now again, if you're going into these environments and you're an advanced player, like let me say you are an African migrant. So you grew up here in Ghana, you fluently speak the language, you know the cultural norms and all that stuff. You have family in that community, then yeah, you're an advanced player. You know, so you can go out and negotiate better. But for those of us that are completely foreign, don't have family here, on our own, single, whatever, trying to navigate, trying to learn the country, going out to those settings it's a high risk. You know, it's a high risk. And it's not just here in Ghana, it's anywhere. You know, we live very individualistic in the West, so we don't think about how communities operate that are tight-knit, okay? And how communities operate that are tight-knit is if you don't integrate well, you become the outsider. And when you are the outsider, there's no allegiance in that environment for you, because they're going to have each other's back because they know each other. But really, the way you have to integrate into those situations is you need to marry in, you need to forge relationships with those people, and those people will advocate to the community and say, oh, he's cool, she's cool, don't mess with their stuff, you know, don't do this, we're going to protect them, you know. But if you come in rogue and you just like, yeah, I'm the big boy in the village, you know. And we're seeing, unfortunately, some of these more rural places, some of the diasporans are having issues. You know, they are having problems because it becomes them against their community. And, you know, again, who's going to have your back in those settings? So all of this stuff is the research that you want to do. This is why I don't advise about doing your living arrangements exclusively from abroad. You need to come here and sort it out. And even if you're ready to move, then you come here, you rent a hotel, you rent an Airbnb, a temporary apartment for like a few months, and you get your bearings together before you purchase, buy land, buy a home, build. You know, you may not want that area. You know, maybe you decide, I heard, unfortunately, of a situation where there was a senior who bought land through one of these YouTubers, okay? And their settlement is on the outskirts in Ghana. You know, it's like hours away from a crop. And that person, obviously, when they came, they were excited. They bought the land. As they came to settle and actually build a property on that land, they realized, I really rather be closer to a crop. Well, they bought the land now, and they built the house now. So they're all the way out in the cut, and they're not really happy about it. And I'm like, you see, these are the dangers. You know, if you come, for instance, and you rent an apartment, and then you realize, ooh, I don't like this neighborhood. You know, the power outages are too much. The roads are bad. It's too noisy. There's a nightclub, you know, 2 blocks over. It's noise all weekend. If you bought that place, you break it, you buy it. You got to deal with it. But if you are renting or living temporarily or in a hotel, you can say, ooh, I don't want to stay in this area. I'm going to survey some other areas. Or if you come here and start working, start a business, buy a farm, maybe you decide I want to be, and I would recommend, if possible, you be in proximity of where you work, live, have your business, so you can monitor it. You know what I mean? You don't want to have a business 3 hours away that you are not able to really interact with, because again, recipe for disaster. So that's what I'm going to say about housing. You know, there's some strategy that needs to go into that. They shot us. What's up, Nana Dreams? Yeah, you're late, but you got it right. This question, what do I think about diasporans starting their own communities? Well, that one is kind of, I don't know. I mean, I think obviously it's normal to gravitate to people that you have a level of familiarity with, but in that respect, you are kind of segregating from the local people, you know. So my thing about that is, how will you grow in the country? You know what I mean? Because you guys are just fraternizing with each other, and you guys are kind of recycling, if you know, knowledge among each other. But as far as you like seeing the culture, seeing how people live, learning about the foods, learning the language, you know, you're going to be kind of missing out from that. And I also, I mean, in some of these situations, there's been a lot of drama, you know, because unfortunately, some of our people are coming and, you know, they have misconceptions. They're ignorant about the country, and it becomes a lot of drama. So I don't know. I probably personally would not live in a diasporan exclusive neighborhood. You know, I can't fault people that would want to do something like that, but I don't know. I think that might be kind of problematic. I mean, when we look at, for instance, what we know about Liberia, you have this scenario where the Afro-Liberians come to Liberia and they kind of segregate from the locals, and it ends up becoming a huge conflict. So I'm a big proponent of integrating to a certain point. You know, you need to. I mean, I wouldn't have the success that I'm having here in Ghana if I fraternized with strictly diasporans. I have some close girlfriends that are diasporans, but I have several local girlfriends and friends and so on and so forth. And my entire team is Ghanaians, you know. So I feel that gives me the competitive edge. They give a lot of insight. They teach me a lot of things. They show me a lot of things. They give me like the historical context of a lot of things. You're not going to get that just being surrounded by your own people. I mean, if you, for instance, if we're not talking about Ghana, but let's say you go to Japan, you know, you go to Japan and you want to learn the language and you want to, you know, become abreast, you're going to want to be around Japanese people, because they're the ones that can teach you. Now, there's expats there, you know, and there's people that have been living there for decades, you know, Americans, military, so on and so forth. But your most unique experience is going to be partnering up with the Japanese. It's the same thing here. Now, I know it can be complicated, but that's why I say class is important. Okay, class is important, because if you're the big kahuna and you go to places where people are struggling in poverty and you're shining so bright and you're out there all by yourself, you're going to make yourself a target. And yes, people are going to come to you and want money and constantly deal, you know, you're going to deal with that. But if you are in an audience of your peers where people have jobs, people are managing, people travel, you know, you're not going to deal with that. I don't deal with that. You know, I hear a lot of people complain incessantly about that. I mean, I see some people on Facebook complain incessantly. Oh my gosh, these people are always begging this and that. And I'm like, yeah, because you have more. Okay, it's obvious you have more and they want it. You know, have you joined a professional organization here in Ghana? Do you go to such events? You know, have you tapped into maybe your professional, you know, so let's say you were in banking in the US, or you were in government or politics, or you were a professor, you know, have you begin to fraternize with people on your level? If you would see, because there's a lot of ballers here in Ghana. I'm telling you. Well educated, well traveled, you know, they own their house, their cars, you know what I'm saying? They're actually positioned better than we are in the West. There's a lot of that here, but you have to locate it. You know, when you come here and you're a foreigner, they're not going to come knock your door. So you're going to need to locate it. You know, again, think about what prominent, sophisticated, rich people do in Western settings. They're philanthropists. Okay. They're into the arts. Okay. They do volunteer work. They do community stuff. They do NGOs, all that kind of stuff. When you come here, those are the channels you need to plug into as well. And find the elite, find the upper crust, find the professionals, you know, find the entrepreneurs, you know, locate these events, find the expos, you know, find the conferences that are happening. You know, big shout outs to you guys. What's up? If you have questions, leave them here. Big shout out to the African superstar family. It's not unusual that a diasporan will occasionally visit the West or maybe even spend extended time. They can do that. They have citizenship in these countries or whatever. They have family in these countries. Sometimes they have problems or they have issues that they need to be present and resolve. It's normal. Okay? If you're my cousin and I live in New York and you live in Atlanta, is it so unusual that you would come and see me on the holidays? You would come surprise me on my birthday. You would say, yo, it's Labor Day weekend for those of you guys in America. Let's get together and kick it. It's a holiday weekend. Although I'm living it, it's a bigger scale because it's different countries. It's the same principle. Okay. And I actually promised my family, not just anybody's business, but I actually promised my family when I moved abroad that I would make regular visits to them. Because I have a friend of mine that I went to high school with, and he moved to Japan, and he ain't been back to the U.S. in over 10 good years. So I promised to my family, yeah, I'm going to make regular visits to you guys, at least yearly, maybe biannually or whatever. Okay. So I'm doing my best to, adhere to that because I love my family. Because I have business periodically, because I need to go and check stuff. I need to get my new debit card and, do this kind of stuff. Some things you need to be in the States, in the UK to do. You can't do it over the phone. You can't do it online. You need to do it in present. Furthermore, you might want to see your friends. You might want, you might need to go shopping. You might need to get some resources that you can get in the West, get stuff done. It's not a big deal. Buffalo Soldier says, seem like it's a catch-2 with living in a diaspora area versus living within a local community. It just boils down to, again, your objectives. I know, for instance, like here in Ghana, there is a retirement community in Pram Pram. Okay, so a lot of the retirees, they have all gone to Pram Pram and they live in proximity. In that situation, I think that is good. Because when you're an elderly person, you spent the majority of your life in the Western setting. Learning a new way of life may be a bit overwhelming for you. So, it's nice for you to be among other seniors, and there's age appropriate activities they do, and they meet up and they go out and all that kind of stuff. But then again, that's very similar to the West. There are retirement communities in the West. There's senior housing in the West for people of the same age to be together. But I would say for us, younger people, middle-aged people, we need to get into this country if we really want to acclimate well. I want to learn the language. I need to know this place. You know what I mean? And I need to have a level of independence too, to be able to do it on my own. I can't always be with a Ghanaian every time I go to the market, every time I need to conduct business. I need to have some understanding of my own of how things work here. Where is that going to come from if I don't start integrating and associating with the locals? So we need to look at it in that perspective. And again, if you're having a lot of issues with people trying to scam you and take advantage, check the class. Check the class. You're a college educated, maybe master's, maybe doctorate, professional entrepreneur, kicking it with your boat driver all the time. Trying to, have a full-blown relationship with someone who's 20 years younger than you. You're trying to, you're out of place. Now, these are things you would never do if you were still in America or UK. You wouldn't be caught dead kicking it with certain people because they're not of your class. They're not of your echelon. They're not of a level where a relation can happen. So those are still in effect here. You just have to hone in and find your space. I know one of my girlfriends here, she's, a huge businesswoman from Louisiana. And as soon as she came here, she became a member of the Rotary Club here in Ghana. And it's a professional organization. They do like a lot of humanitarian stuff, like bringing water to the villages and, other kind of community initiatives and things like that. And she connected with all these professional bigwigs. She even met one of the kings. you know, a few months ago, I saw on her WhatsApp, and she sent me an application like, yo, Jenny, you need to join too. You need to be here. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Because that's my speed. That's what I like, galas. You know what I'm saying? I like professional events. I like dealing with people that are decision makers, people that can get doors open. You know, another one of my friends recently became a queen, you know, and she's like, yo, Gina, I want to get you in, you know, a position here in my kingdom. And I'm like, you see, but y'all dealing with the scrubs, and you're getting what happens when you deal with the scrubs. You wouldn't deal with the scrubs in Germany. You wouldn't deal with them in England or Australia or America. So don't deal with them here. And it's not a condescending attitude. You know, it's not like you're saying, I'm better than you. It's a simple fact that we have limited things in common. Okay. And also the perception. Now, someone, for instance, who's traveled, you know, I have plenty of associates here in Ghana that they've traveled. They've even done some of their education abroad, or they have family abroad. When I talk to them about UK, it's not a huge fantasy world in their head because they've been there, because they've lived there, because they have family there, because they have access. You see, they're not trying to scam me because they can actually travel when they want to. It's a matter of class. And, you know, that's a pro tip that some of you guys need to understand, because, yeah, you're having a lot of hardship because you're fraternizing with people that they cannot relate with you. They might be nice and really sweet people, really helpful people, but you have to know where to put people in your life. You have to be able to assess them and determine, okay, this person can be, you know, a colleague. This person can be a lover. This person just needs to be an associate. This person can be a resource or a teacher or helper or whatever. You know what I mean? All right. I was on that for a minute. Buffalo Soldieress, integrating will be great. Just have to find the right area and the right peers. Big shout outs. Yes. Again, African goddess, it just depends. You know, I have a couple friends, and they're in these diasporan communities, and they're telling me the drama that's going down, and it sounds like a reality TV show. And I'm just like, yeah, no. Yeah. Emmanuel, if you have any questions for me, you can send an email. It's scrolling across the screen, africansuperstar@gmail.com. Okay? Definitely. 100%. I'm going to wrap up soon, guys, unless you have any other questions. Buffalo Soldier says you definitely should make it a point to visit and keep in touch with your family. And, you know, some people will say, well, they can visit me too. And, you know, why should the weight of it be on me? Well, you're the one who moved away, basically. You know, if you were in a situation where your family was in a close proximity and you're the one who traveled, you're the one who moved abroad, you need to be the person who makes the most effort. You know, yes, your family may make efforts to travel and all that stuff. You know, in my case, my mother is elderly. She's not in the most mobile health situation. She can't do a lot of long walking. You know, here in Ghana, this is not a disabled friendly, you know, environment. And so it's like, it makes much more practical sense for me to be the one to travel. I'm young, I'm fit, you know what I'm saying? I'm a world traveler. I'm familiar with the systems and all that. So it's much easier for me to travel than it would be for my mom to come. Will she come to Ghana eventually and visit? I don't know. You know, I don't know. Anything's possible, but I'm not anticipating that. She didn't also come and see me in the UK. You know, my little sister did come visit me in the UK. I had actually several friends come and visit me in the UK. I've had a couple come here to Ghana, but, you know, at the end of the day, it was my decision. You know, so I feel like I should be the one to maintain those things as I promised. And so that's what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? So nobody should be surprised when they see me traveling abroad, going to Europe, it's normal. You know, it's what I've been doing for years. Even when I lived in the US, I used to travel internationally on holidays. Even when I lived in the UK, I used to travel back to America, come here to Ghana. So basically, I'm in a different location. I mean, I would say, if anything, I'm much more stationary now than I ever was, because I live in a place now I don't need a vacation from. You know what I mean? A lot of my travels in the UK was weather related. Sometimes I just wanted a beach. Sometimes I just wanted sun. Sometimes I just wanted warmth. Okay. I live here in Ghana. I have access to those things 365. So I don't necessarily need to travel for those elements, you know. But yeah, so that's what I wanted to share on my unpopular opinions today. Big shout outs to S.A. Smith. Shout outs to all my moderators, everybody with the wrench, and everybody who was there asking questions, so on and so forth. I hope I answered them adequately. If you have any other questions when you see the playback or so on and so forth, you can leave them in the comments box, or feel free to send me an email at africansuperstar@gmail.com. And if you actually need specific assistance planning your move here to Ghana, I do offer consultations where I can do some research for you, help you find hotels, help you advise you, and so forth. They are paid. Hello. But I will be happy to, you know, put my expertise, make that available for you as well. So if you need a consultation for Ghana, you can also send an email, africansuperstar@gmail.com. Just put consultation in the subject line so that I can respond accordingly. And we also offer tours here. So if you are interested in visiting, our next tour is in October 21st to the 27th, 7-day tour, all inclusive. $4,000, include your hotel, your airfare, your meals, your transportation, attractions, welcome concert, photo shoot. You see what I'm saying? A lot is included. It's a great deal. We had a GK come visit us from St. Louis back in March. And so if you're interested in my upcoming tour, please head to my tour partner's website, Mr. Taye Ahuru. We have our full itinerary and booking right on the homepage. And so if you're interested, you need to get in soon, because we will have to close it. Within, I'd say, a few weeks, we have to close it to give you enough time to get your visa prepared to come to Ghana. So a big shout out to the African Superstar family, guys. If you're seeing the playback, please make sure you like the stream, leave me any comments, and subscribe if you like our content. And don't forget, you can also support the stream. There are ways to also donate for our content, scrolling across the bottom of the screen. Until we meet again, stay black and true. If you ain't black, just stay true.